Hello and welcome back. So in this video, we're going to take a look at curves. So what exactly is a curve? Well, in Maya, when you say a curve, it's just a line, really. Okay, so something like this. The curve itself is 2D. It doesn't have any thickness by default, but it can move in 3D. So it's not stuck as being flat. I can, grab points, edit it later on, and make it go in all directions. But again, the curve itself is flat. It's 2D. So you can create your curves from here, going up to create, curve tools. Then you can pick CV curve tool or EP curve tool. CV just stands for control vertex, and EP is edit point. So these are the usual ways of making it. You can make a Bezier or just draw out a curve with the pencil tool. That would be the same thing. Something to remember whenever you're building curves is, yes, you can build them in your perspective, but you can also build them in your orthographic. And a lot of times it's advisable that you build them in your orthographic. If I were to build a curve here, so let's go to create curve tool, CV curve tool, right? And I do something like this. Oops, there we go. I hit enter when I'm done. So it looks like my curve is going up and down, but in reality, it's actually flat on the grid plane. Okay, I can edit this after the fact, like so, right? But if I want to build something that's, for example, standing up, I would have to do that in one of my orthographics, say my front viewport, right? So if I do something like this, so that would be standing up. So what's the difference between a CV curve and an EP curve? In the end, they're actually all the same. The only difference is how they're built. So if I open this up and I go to my curve tools, I'm going to tear this one off. Okay. And I'm going to use the CV curve tool. And on this side, I'm going to just draw a curve. Maybe I can change the background so it's easier to see. Yeah. And using the CV curve tool for that one. And over here, there we go. I am going to use the EP curve tool. Whoops. Let me just edit that cubic. There we go. Okay. So this tool I built with the CV curve. This tool I built with the EP curve. If I want to edit them, just select and right click. Okay. And then you can choose how you want to edit it. Remember this one I built with the CV. I can edit it with by right clicking and choosing control vertex. I can change that. This one I can do the same thing. Remember, this is an EP curve. Right click, control vertex. I can do the exact same thing. Whereas here, I can also choose edit point, and I can edit this curve by editing those edit points. So which you use actually becomes a matter of preference. If you're used to um, building stuff with the CV curve tool or the EP curve tool, that's up to you. In my case, I got used to building stuff with the CV curve tool. So when I build something here, by default, I'm just going to go for the CV curve. So now that we've seen what curves are, what can you do with the curves exactly? There are a few tools. I'm just going to show you the more commonly used ones for now. Okay. First off, we can use the loft tool, and that works. Okay, picking a random curve. That works by creating a surface that runs through the curves that you've selected. So I select my curves, and then your loft tool is under modeling. You can find that under surfaces, loft, or in your curves and surfaces shelf right here. So if I click that, I get this. It gives me a surface. Nice thing about this is I can edit my curves and the surface will update and follow. The main caveat of this is your your curves have to have roughly the same number of points. When I say roughly, they don't have to be exactly the same, but in the same range. So if I have a curve that has 10, the next one has 11 or 12, that's not so bad. But if I have one curve that has 10 and the next one has like 65, then you're going to end up with a mess of a mesh. Okay. Another thing to remember when you're lofting is order of selection. Oops, missed that. Order of selection will influence how your surface is built. Okay. So if I select these curves in order, my loft, okay, I get this. But if I do it this way, let's say this one, then I go back here, then I go to the last one. When I hit loft, you see, I get a ribbon of a mesh because it followed the order of selection, right? So it went to this curve and then that one, and then back, and then to the last one. Whereas here, when I selected things in order, right, it just followed the curves in order. Okay. So what else is there with curves? Okay. One of the newer ones, actually, is sweep. Okay. So I have a curve. Sweep would actually be under create. Mesh sweep. I don't think it's in the shelf by default, but you can add it there easy enough. So just hold down Control Shift, create sweep, and there it is. Or it might be, oh, here it is. Here it is. So I don't need that. Right click, delete, sweep. And what it does is it creates a mesh following your path. So the curve you drew becomes the path of the surface. Okay. And it's actually replacing the old extrude tool. This is just much more useful. If I go, there we go. If I go select my object, go to my mesh sweep creator tab in my attribute editor, I can do lots of fancy stuff here. I can change the profile, so polygon, rectangle, a simple line, arc, so on. Or I can have a custom, right? You can pick a curve object. Okay. You can adjust the width, the height, corner radius, all of these things. Scale profile, we'll turn it down. So if you want it a bit thinner, if you see that your mesh isn't following the curve exactly, you can turn up your precision. right? You can try and optimize it. Okay. And everyone's favorite, you can taper, right? So you can play around with the taper curve. You can have it tapered at the beginning and a bit chubby in the middle, like that. So now it looks like, you know, an anaconda who swallowed something, right? So you can see a lot of applications for this. The other trick, which is related to that, is extruding from an existing mesh. So I showed you about extruding, right? Where you just grab a face and then extrude. Here, I can actually create a curve. Let's say from here, let's do that. So I can select the face, hold down Shift, oops, try it again, select my face, hold down Shift, select the curve, and then I can extrude. So right click, Shift, right click, extrude, and now it's extruding along the path. Okay, see the face goes to the end of the path. It's not bending because I don't have enough divisions. So if I just turn up my number of divisions, there you go. Some more, there we are. And if I look here in my outliner, I can even taper this like so. So this is a really fast way of making things like tails or tentacles, or like the horns on Loki's helmet, things of that nature. And the last one that everyone seems to love is the revolve. So I'm going to hold down X so I can snap to my grid point like so. And I'm going to make a curve. Okay, I'm going to go back around. You'll see why in a second. Okay, so holding down X, I'm snapping to the grid line. I want to start and end exactly in the same spot. In this case, exactly on my y-axis. Okay, so once I have this, I can go revolve. That would be, again, in the modeling menu set, under surfaces, revolve. In the shelf, it's right here. So there you go. So now you have a vase or vase, whichever. So what exactly happens here? What it does is it will take a profile, whatever curve you make, it'll take that as a profile, and then revolve that around an axis, in this case 180 degrees. See? So what it does is this actually. And then closes. There you go. Right? So that's what it does. Okay? And again, I can edit my curve to make changes like so. Really quickly. Right? Now, the common problem most people run into with uh, revolves is that what if you want to build a revolve that's away from your major y-axis? You still can. The thing you have to remember is the axis of rotation, so the axis around which the revolve creates the surface, is actually your pivot point. So if I create a curve here, like so. If I look at my pivot point, it's actually over here at the origin. If I revolve this now, this is what I get. I get a hole. Not usually what you want. So to fix that, you can just move your pivot point to your curve. Hold down D or just press it. Lets you move your pivot point. C, okay, C is your snap to curve. So if you hold down C, right, and I middle mouse, oops, hold it down C and I middle mouse, click on my curve, I can drag it to my curve to the very end. So now I know if I revolve with my pivot point over there, I'm going to get an object that's sealed. There's no holes, right? And those are the three most commonly used tools when you're using curves. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you again next time.